MicheleMarieDalene to you. Today we're going to be showing you some ways you can make your computer run a little bit better. We're talking about Macintoshes in particular, running on, say, under Lion. My machine here is a good example of where you might want to make as much fine-tuning as you can to make everything work better. There's a lot of tricks out there on the internet. I'm going to teach you a couple of the basics, as well as explain memory management under Mac OS 10.7.5 and also under 10.5.8, so you can understand how it all works. And hi Fame, I'm a kitty cat. Yeah, there he is. So let's get started with this demo, okay? And I think we'll see what we're doing, and I think you'll enjoy it. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to minimize this screen player so I can show you the desktop. This is the way Lion looks. Lion Leopard is very much similar to this. I chose to have it look as much the same between the two operating systems as possible. Now, one of the things that we're going to start with the specs, just so you understand what kind of computer this is. It's a processor. It's a 1.83 gigahertz Intel Core 2 Duo with 2.5 gigabytes of 666 megahertz DDR2 SD RAM. I think that's a good enough amount of information you really need to know there. So let's see, how can we make our computer work better as best as we can? So let's take a look at the activity monitor. Now make sure that there's nothing open here. We don't want to have a lot of things running because it'll mess up the demo. We are going to be showing things obviously as we go. So no confusion about it. You'll see we have free memory. Let's just run it off what it is. It's about a gigabyte. Wired, which means it's used by the operating system itself. It's not available for anybody. Okay, it's for the operating system's drivers and things like that. Active memory is memory that's being used by programs and applications and some buffers. Inactive is usually like cache memory. It'll be used for, if necessary. Right now you see it's pretty much a big empty block. Used is about, which is the, so it uses about 1.1 gigabytes, okay? And we still have the virtual memory, and I need to explain that to you. The virtual memory on the under Lion and Tiger and Leopard and yes, even Linux is what they call a swap file. Under Linux, you can also have a swap partition. I have never been able to figure out how you would do a swap partition under Mac OS 10. I got a cat, he keeps jumping up here, and I don't want to mess up this demo. So, page in, right now, it showed that 354.3 megabytes of pages were loaded in. No pages were swapped out. There is right now a swap is not being used. So, here we have, like I said, so the main thing here is free memory. It means that programs can use that. Active memory means that memory is being used by the programs that are already running in the machine. Remember, this is a multi-user, multi-process operating system, and so it will be using a lot more memory than you would expect because it's always got something running in the background. That's the nature of the system. These are some of the process names running. If, by the way, similar type of information can be available under Linux using Top. This is very similar to Top. First of all, if you look here, there's, let's take a look at some of the programs. Some of these are not user programs. For example, Activity Monitor is a user program. That's Intel 64-bit. Most of these are 64-bit programs. You'll see the QuickTime Player. I am using the 32-bit on this for recording this video. So, yeah, that's definitely a 32-bit program. I'm going to scroll down. That's another whole different area. Is the scroll wheel. And of course, as a legally blind person, I really have to be I have a hard time with this. So these are some of these programs that are running in the background. Some of these are not really adjustable by you. Well, you could adjust them, I suppose, if you really want to get into the inner guts of the machine. But let's talk how you would do that. A good example of this would be, say, Finder. Now, I don't know if Finder would let me select 64-bit, 32-bit. It is not necessarily a user-runnable program. But let me just try something here. I'm just curious. And so is my cat, apparently. Here we have a Finder. It's telling me under information, memory. It's got 7 threads running, CPU time, context switches, statistics, open files, and ports. So here we have all this information. Now, can you change some of these programs? You don't want to close Finder. You do that, and your computer becomes a zombie. All right, so that's activity monitor. I'm just going to minimize this window. I'm going to leave the little memory display on the bottom here, which is right over here where my finger is, because this is going to be our next explain how you can make some things work better. The most important thing is that we were having a problem with Firefox. Firefox is constantly crashing. I'm going to show you a couple things about Firefox. The first reason why Firefox sometimes crashes has nothing to do with memory whatsoever. Rather, has to do with plugins that are sometimes out of date and failing. In my case, it was a Silverlight plugin. So, okay. Now, I'm going to go over here to, Firefox, right here. Now, if I hold, and I can do this two ways, I sometimes forget I'm using a single button mouse. So if you hold down Control and press the mouse button, you see things like Get Info. Get Info is going to be the program that's going to tell you about the system. And you will see that it offers 32-bit mode and 64-bit mode. It was recommended to run it in 32-bit because it says it takes less CPU processing to work in 32-bit. It does seem a little snappier, and unlike the older operating systems such as Mac OS 9 and things like that, you cannot change user memory and things like that in a program. At least not easy. You might be able to do it to some extent, but not really, because the way memories are stored under Mac OS, yes, Linux is not going to give you that kind of control. So, some cases you're using it in 32-bit mode may be great, sometimes you can't. As I will show you, if I go back to Final Cut Express, right here, and I do the same thing, you'll see, in the case of Final Cut Express, you do not see the 32-bit option. That's because it only is a 32-bit application. It's a universal, which means it's a Rosetta as well as Intel. Now, this machine doesn't run the Rosetta. It does not have a choice to running Rosetta. So if Rosetta, you could strip out those applications on your Mac and make it run better. But there are other things you can do as well, and will also speed up the starting of your computer. I'm going to show you right now. If you go to your system preferences, okay, yeah, it takes a little time to load, okay, and you go to system preferences and you go to general tab, you will see that there is a series of restore Windows when quitting and reopening apps. Uncheck that. Turn that off. Why? Because that means, especially if you tend to close after you leave a messy desk, it's gonna keep your desk messy every time you start the computer, which means all the programs that were closed are going to be reopened again, and it's just gonna look messy. So you're never going to keep it clean. So what you want to do is uncheck that. And then what it does is now it starts up fresh. Likewise, you can do the same thing with both Firefox and Safari and Google Chrome, which is using a command called default to do the same thing. I think I still have that in my history buffer. So let's go back in and take a look at that. And as I said, I read the information and I wrote it down. Now, since this is using the bash shell, it has a couple of advantages. It has information background. That's not the command we're going to be talking about. It's the purge command. Here's the first one. This is for Google Chrome. This will turn off, keeps window boolean that's set to false. I set up as a sudo and a regular default on some Mac OSs. You're going to need to use sudo because it is kind of more of a default thing. And I want it to be system-wide, so that's why I use the sudo command. What that will do is that will turn off the Google Chrome. Always keeps Windows. Always keeps Windows flag off. You don't want that on because otherwise Google Chrome is always going to keep all the tabs and stuff that you quit with. Makes a real mess. Likewise, you can do the same thing for Safari. Same kind of keyword. You can both run it as default. In this case, I set it for default as my account. Plus, I did the same thing for sudo over here to make sure that the application will always start system-wide that way. Now, we're going to talk about the purge command. The purge command is used to force a clearing out of the cache files and a variety of other things. Not normally something you're going to use, but if you do, you're going to must be aware that it is definitely more on the standard Xcode. It's more of a user programmer's tool. It's not something the average individual will use. Sometimes some different Mac OSs may say you can run it as regular user without the sudo command. Some say you can't. I would say, for the most part, you can try it, but it's only easy to do. It doesn't even have any command line options. You just log on as your root account, using sudo account. And if you look down here in the bottom, I'm just going to show you here. You will see that the amount of RAM frees up. Oh, there's other stuff background here. There you go. Okay, now you'll see that I have freed up more RAM on 1.34 gigabytes. And then, of course, we see the inactive, which is used sometimes for buffers in case some programs are just closed. That will be recycled. The machine will reuse that. It sees at 1.95 megabytes. The wired will never is not user changeable, so don't even bother to try. Page ins, page outs, swap use, none. So right now we just reduced the memory usage down to 677.5 megabytes. Now that number is going to change a lot. So if you're really kind of running into a space crunch, yeah, you can try that using the system. Also, let me take a look at the CPU operations. Now, I didn't show you that because really there's not much you can do. Gotta give me a second to find my cursor here. Okay. This shows you the status of the processors. It's kind of like a timeline here, and you'll see that the CPU is percentage of it is 57.6 is user. Unlike, say, you'll see now as it's been sitting around, it's starting to drop off as far as CPU usage. Okay, just using the mouse actually causes it to go up too. So it's really it's the system usage that is used by the system. It's basically the kernel and the guts. Fame, did you just step on all my mice and computers again? No, figures. Okay, so obviously my cat messed up by making a computer. He does that to me every time. All right, so okay. I think it was a thumb drive. No, it's not. Oh, yeah. No, it might be. Yeah. whatever. Anyway, so the point is that by doing this, you can actually make things get going better. So how can you make your computer days better? Well, obviously the first can definitely be performance can be improved accordingly. So yes, you can change it, make things better. Now, unfortunately, sometimes you'll notice that these different programs, Keynote just came up. I guess somehow Keynote was installed and my cat accidentally hit it or something when he stepped all over my keyboard. Keynote is a program you will probably not going to be using much, except unless you want to do something similar to making video slides. Okay, that's what it's for. So let me try to get out of this program. Okay, this is the reason you'll see that there's different things that get fired off. Okay, so now that's the main things of how you can make your computer run a little faster and a little cleaner, and how much faster is now doing things. Different plugins for Firefox and Safari and Google Chrome, and this is important because of the fact is that we live in a day and age where some programs tend to get started up and plugins are used for so many different applications. So we're going to talk about now what I want to talk about is what applies to the latest version of Firefox and older Firefoxes as well. So here we have the information on Firefox as it loads up. The way you see it's 40.0.2, which is the latest version. The key piece is the word here. It says Firefox is up to date. Firefox is up to date is important because it means that machine is up to snuff. Now, when you're going in sometimes, you're going to want to check your plugins. And don't go crazy with too many graphics themes. There's so many people who do this, and then they wonder why their system runs like a dog. Now, just going, I'm going to show you the way that they normally show Firefox under Linux as well, because this is pretty much the same. You're going to want to go, I don't know what this thing is, but you keep knocking my computer disk drives offline, kitty cat. Yeah. One problem with FireWire. Okay, now here we have our plugins screen, and we have the Open H.264 video codec produced by Cisco Systems. You need that, but here is the offenders: Shockwave Flash and Silverlight. These two plugins have been known to be a real pain in the butt, especially if they're not up to code. Make sure you get the newest versions of a plugin. In my case, 5.1.40728.0 and Shockwave Flash, which is 18.0 or 0. Those are the newest ones from my computer. That is important because the newer ones you got means it's going to be working a lot better. The QuickTime plugin 7.7.1. I don't really know much about that plugin. I have all my computers have it. I just don't know if it's really the very latest. It says it is up to date. So now, how can you check for that? Well, there's two ways you can do that, and it's important to do if you are not using the automated system. Always do it this way. Go to the gear. I don't know why it's doing that. Part of the cord's coming out of the wall. Yeah, I'll check it in a second. Yeah, I tend to kick it out of the wall. Check for updates, okay? Just check on that. And let me check the power cord because, yeah, my cat's not the only one who knocks cords out of the wall. Okay, it was me. All right. Now, when you do that, it's going to check to see if everything is up to date, and you'll see, you can also do it another way too. You can always just click on this tab here. And if you do that, it's going to show you a page from Firefox, and it shows you the plugin status, and it should all say up to date. If you are running an older version of Firefox, such as in unknown plugins here, like for iPhoto 6, TitleCast, you see it says research. I don't really know if PhotoCast really needs to be kept in there. So let me tell you what, if you don't think you're going to use it, And I've never seen this thing ask me for this option. So I'm just going to go ahead and never activate this guy. And if I need to, I can always turn it back on later on. Okay? That's always a good way to do it. You can just turn off the applications you're not going to use. You can see it comes from iPhoto 6. Well, we're not using iPhoto 6. We're using something a lot newer than that. Most every time, August 2013, this is for iPhoto 700. It's something you're never really going to use, so you can just leave it off. It's okay. Now, we're going to talk about closing all these tabs. Might as well bring this up to your attention because this is a big problem, especially if you just keep them closed. Boom, boom, just like that. And if you look at the memory down here, you'll see that you can see almost at the spinning wheel here. That the amount of RAM is becoming free and is available. So now I'm going to go back over here. Just apparently I don't expect it to burn any faster because it ain't. Okay, so here we can see it uses 1.09 gigabytes. It's still, the inactive area will shrink as you'll see the program constantly changes. And as it does, the machine will make more of that available to you as the time goes. You'll see that page ins has not been used since, okay? Or page outs hasn't been used yet. So swap hasn't even been touched at this point. You can also make your swap ball a static size. So I'm going to close this Firefox and watch this. When you close a program, you're going to see that the available RAM goes up. In this case, up to 1.08 gigabytes. The inactive memory hasn't really been reduced because right now it's just the same thing with Safari. Safari and Chrome. Safari definitely is definitely a very tight program for the most part. So I'm going to click on Safari, and you're going to see that Safari, that all these programs except for 32-bit. The 64-bit works fine too. It's just, it seems like it's 32-bit seems to be a little bit less in CPU nuts. So again, we're going to go back to our little icon. You can see in the bottom of the screen here. I'm going to pull the activity monitor again, and you can see that the memory used here is 1.07 gigabytes of RAM. Yeah, every now and then this thing pops up things I don't need, like this screen. I can close it. It's good. It's hard when you're legally blind. Okay, here we go. So now the virtual memory size, notice again, no swapping is being used right now. Available is 1.2 out of the 2 gigabytes. It's really 2.5, but I guess some of that memory is not available to the people. And or either that or the system can't wait so to do with the other half a gig. But this machine originally was set up to use about 2 gigabytes anyway. So I've got 2.5 gigs in it. So here we go. So the point is this is the kind of things you can do. Oh yes, by the way, if you want to quit programs really quick and you don't want to go through and all this usually works. Hold on the Option key, go to File, and you can not always work, but you can sometimes close all applications, but sometimes you can't. So hold on, Command Quit. My other keyboards are all different. This one and this one. Doing this will actually make sure that your computer is going to be running efficiently and makes some more space available. And then, of course, so that's it. That's all you do. And those steps will help keep your sessions running smoothly. Okay? So, keep that in mind, boys and girls. It'll help you big time. Now, I'm going to close this window. Okay. Bye-bye for now, guys. See you soon. Hey guys, Silvermoon meets you. Today we're going to be showing you some ways you can make your computer run a little bit better. We're talking about Macintoshes in particular, running on, say, under Lion. My machine here is a good example of where you might want to make as much fine-tuning as you can to make everything work better. There's a lot of tricks out there on the internet. I'm going to teach you a couple of the basics, as well as explain memory management under Mac OS 10.7.5 and also under 10.5.8, so you can understand how it all works. And hi Fame, I'm a kitty cat. Yeah, there he is. So let's get started with this demo, okay? And I think we'll see what we're doing, and I think you'll enjoy it.